Yo, what is going on, guys? J.Yumeko here, and today we're back with some more Before Crime After Days. Sorry, I did that wrong. Root Double Before Crime After Days Extended Edition. So, last time we left off, it was very dramatic. We had managed to break our way into this, like, industrial warehouse sector. And so we found out a couple things. We found out, well, for one, we found a lot of AD. So, like, we're set for at least the next hour or two. The next thing is that we found an elevator or a lift that could potentially be our way out. However, it is stuck behind a huge vault door that right now does not seem like it has a very good chance of opening. But there's that. Also, the roof caved in, collapsed, almost crushed us. And we saved Yuri, had like an emotional moment with her. But I was told by one of you guys that this is kind of where the story picks up in its other plot line of this thing, this monster, this, you know, doppelganger seeming kind of motherfucker running around. So, without further ado, let's jump right back into it. I do want to acknowledge that, yes, I know I was supposed to get this video out kind of a while ago and I didn't, but you know, it is what it is.
上出来だ。あとはこの切れ目にクレーンを引っ掛けよう。おっさん、頼む。了解した。
Ukita nodded and started operating the crane again.
Alright. はい、ストップです。
Kazumi hooked the crane's hook under the recently carved notch.
みんな。
Oh yeah, we're gonna try and pull the door open with the crane. Watase waited until everyone had complied, then gave Ukita a hand signal. Ukita nodded again, then pressed a switch on the controller. The crane's chain rewound up to the ceiling, causing the hook to pull tight against the gate as it did. Watase prayed as he observed the scene play out before him. Please work. Just then, the gate started creaking in the blink of an eye. The notch then widened even further, and opened up to create an opening large enough for people to walk through it.
よし、完璧だ。
The opening was big enough for even someone of Watsuse's stature to fit through. They could vaguely see what appeared to be the lift's control panel through the darkness.
ね、これでもう安心よ。
どうやらうまくいったようだね。
Yeah, we're all celebrating way too early.
すみませんでした、浮田さん。民間の方に手伝っていただいて。
いや、何？ここから脱出できるなら何でもするさ。
Everyone's faces had brightened now that they could get through the gate that had been causing them so much grief. Watase also found himself spontaneously break out into a smile. Oh wait, let's see who we... everybody. So... God, every time I come back to this game, I feel like I have to relearn it, no matter how, like, long I spend in between. I don't know, let's just see what the, prompts we may have. Thank God. Now we finally secured an escape route. It was true that they hadn't found all the survivors yet, but they could at the very least get Yuri, Anna, and Ukita out of here. Plus, that would mean they'd no longer have any problem with AD, and could also get backup from the rescue workers on the surface. Watase breathed a sigh of relief, looked at his comrades' faces, and then spoke to Ukita. Oh shit. No! Okay. Well, I don't think we had a bad setup there.
やったな、おっさん。ああ。 まだ問題は多いが、とりあえずこれでよしとしよう。そうだな。残りの要救助者の件もあるし。
A gloomy look clouded Ukita's face. I see. So it's actually only going to get tougher for the old man after this. With as large as a crisis as a meltdown happening in their workplace, Ukita and his fellow staff members would doubtlessly be forced to take some level of responsibility for it. Ukita had risked tooth and nail to escape this hell alive, all while being aware of that heavy responsibility. So the old man must have had his own worries this whole time. Watase gave Ukita a thankful pat on his shoulder. He then looked at the others. They were all covered in soot and dust, but they were still smiling. It was thanks to all of them they were able to make it this far without losing a single life. There'd been many a time when they'd almost given up, but they'd lost heart not even once. No matter how seemingly hopeless the situation, humans will have the willpower to give up and keep moving forward, huh? It was the will to live that had welled up from the deepest part of all their hearts. It felt like the soul light of hope that had shined through their despair. Hope isn't something as simple as an escape route or AD. Oh, hope isn't something as simple as escape room or an AD. Hope is the fact that all of us are comrades who fought to support each other through thick and thin. Wadase's heart warmed at that thought. He held back his surge of emotions and spoke up.
よし、そんじゃ脱出するか。
じゃあ私が先に入って安全を確かめるよ。頼みますよ、森部。はい、任せて。
Jun went through the opening in high spirits as the others saw her off. However, not even a second later, Jun's scream pierced through the darkness on the other side.
森部、何事ですか？
The rest of the group gulped and went through the opening. Sorry. Okay, well, it looks like somebody's ripped out the control panel. The room they entered was about 9 square meters in size. There was a cargo lift for supplies big enough for people to fit on lying on the other side of the room, just as the manual had said. Jun was standing in front of it, frozen like a statue.
Moribe, 何があった?
It's another body. Jun pointed to the side of the lift as she said that in a trembling voice. Oh. I guess we're just talking about this. Wadase was rendered speechless at that sight. Oh no. Lying there was the body of a girl.
誰なんだこの子は。その鳥羽真白って子か?
But Anna, her face as white as a sheet, answered quickly in a low voice.
違うわ。
何? じゃあ誰の?
Everyone just stared at the body of this girl who no one knew, and who never even come up once up until this point. A hole had been pierced through her stomach. A gunshot wound. The blood that had poured out of it had already dried up into a dark color. She'd undoubtedly been murdered. But when that happened was something that no one knew, and the bigger question was, why did someone kill this girl? The girl's face was completely expressionless. There wasn't a hint of fear or pain to be seen. She just stared at the floor with hollow eyes. Everyone was utterly dumbstruck. The room was now as silent as a tomb. It wasn't long before Ukita let out another surprised gasp.
No.
He slowly staggered over to the panel. The lift's control panel was lying next to the girl. Had been completely destroyed, as if someone had intentionally broken it. Ukita silently tried to work it, but nothing happened even after he pressed the switch. The lift didn't make a sound. Ukita then hit the panel in what seemed like resignation, then shook his head. A still air filled the small room yet again. It was Yuri who broke up the silence. Her voice, brimming with bewilderment and despair, echoed through the confined room. No one could answer her. Everyone just stood absolutely still, overcome with shock. Goddamn. Well, I mean, I think we knew this was going to happen, one way or the other. The group had been guided by hope up until now. They'd had faith there must have been an escape route somewhere, that survivors must still live, awaiting rescue somewhere. And the cargo lift they'd found at the end of their search should have been their only escape route. But it had already been destroyed. There had never been any hope to begin with. Instead, all they'd found was the unidentified body of a girl. The group was frozen in total shock. Everyone had been struck speechless by this unforeseen turn of events. Soon enough, Kazumi ran over to the girl with that declaration. She took off her vital checker and put it around the girl's wrist. All 5 lights shone a bright red. She opened the girl's eyelids up wider and checked her pupils. Kazumi laid the girl down and spoke.
森部、手伝いなさい。心肺蘇生を行います。はい。
I'm pretty sure she's dead. Jun hurriedly sat down next to the girl. Kazumi performed cardiac massage, 15 compressions. Jun performed artificial respiration, 2 rescue breaths. The girl didn't respond. Watase just stood there in blank amazement, unable to do even a thing. 15 compressions, 2 rescue breaths. The girl didn't respond.
無理だ。
Ukita kneeled beside the girl and muttered that. Kazumi and Jun ignored him and continued their CPR. 15 compressions, 2 rescue breaths.
もう死んでる。
15 compressions, 2 rescue breaths.
君たちは救えなかったんだ。
15 compressions, 2 rescue breaths.
僕も。
15 compressions, 2 rescue breaths. Kazumi didn't stop the CPR.
立花、もう。
Watase's words didn't seem to register with Kazumi. Eventually, her watch alarm went off.
立花、AD の投与時間だ。聞こえてるか、おい。
Watase took out one of the AD ampules and administered it to himself. He then injected Yuri with 2 other I can't fucking speak, Jesus. With 2 other ampules. Yuri was so out of it that she didn't even offer up one of her usual protests.
ほら、立花、お前たちも投与しろ。
Kazumi didn't reply, but her lips faintly moved.
ないで。死なないで。渚。
Jun's eyes widened at that moment.
お姉ちゃん、この子は渚じゃないよ。
Nagisa. Confusion swept over Watase. Kazumi didn't listen and continued her CPR attempts.
副隊長、もうやめよ。
Kazumi finally stopped moving at the sound of Jun's cry.
立花。
He couldn't say any more. Kazumi quietly turned around towards Watase and spoke.
手を尽くしてはみましたが、死亡しています。
Kazumi muttered that. Her face seemed absolutely devoid of life. The rest of the group chose that moment to speak up in terrified voices.
副隊長さん。大丈夫なの？
Oh fuck, god damn it. Wait, let me go back.
大丈夫なの？ご心配をおかけしました。もう大丈夫です。
Her tone of voice and the look on her face were the same as always, and full of a harshness that wouldn't accept any further questions. What the hell just happened? Kazumi had clearly been acting strange, but her attitude made it clear that she would reject any questions regarding the reason for her actions. However, there was one thing they all knew for sure. They'd been yet another victim. The group left the room, their hearts full of melancholy. They left the girl's body where it was.
もし。
No sooner had they exited than did the Procyon alarm start beeping. The reading on its display showed 4,000 MSV. It appeared that the contamination had spread to the factory too, shooting the radiation levels up to the first danger standard. The whole facility could suffer the same fate if this keeps up. That was a problem just as grave as the body they just found. This meant that they weren't guaranteed to survive in this hellish place even with AD.
立花、森部、おっさんも AD を投与するんだ。いろいろ気になることがあるとは思うが、頼む。
ええ。そうしよう。私たちだって死にたくないもん。
Their lives had been extended for another hour yet again, but this time, our escape route's been cut off. At this rate, we'll need to inject ourselves with AD 5 more times. But they'd already used up all the AD they had. Oh, did I skip? Fuck, I keep skipping, damn. Let's just do this. They searched what felt like the entire facility so far, so unless they missed some AD somewhere, they'd all be exposed to radiation in just an hour. Fuck, I can't goddamn speak. But in that case, does that mean we have to look through all the areas again? Search every nook and cranny in more depth than last time? He shook his head as he thought that. With their one light of hope having been so cruelly snuffed out, all his fatigue was catching up to him at once. His body wasn't in perfect shape either, what with his cracked ribs and the cut on the back of his head. His eyes that had been stung by smoke so many times suddenly started hurting. Everyone's faces were equally filled with bewilderment. No one said a word. They were all just so confused about the incredibly unexpected sight that had been in the room. But we have to keep on searching. A voice started pouring out of Watase's PDA as he thought that. It was Commander Matakumi again. Watase took out his PDA in shock.
カンありこちら笠崎カンあり
There was much more static on this radio transmission than in the previous one.
司令長聞こえないぞ
They could tell he was saying something like, "We couldn't find anyone with a gun. We can't confirm if there's a killer here or not."
分かったそれからなんだ
The commander desperately tried to give Watase's group the information they needed in the intervals between the loud bursts of static. It seemed like he was repeating the same message over and over again. The group gathered around Watase's PDA and did their best not to miss a single word. No, a single letter that he spoke. So Dojima Hiyama, 2 researchers, 3 high school students, 2 girls. Something rescue survivors, workers. The transmission ended there. So he said the 2 Dojima and Hiyama, who we know are dead. 2 researchers, presumably one of which we have. 3 high school students, which we know those 3 are running around somewhere. And then they mentioned 2 girls as well. So if we're gonna put together what we have, one of those girls is probably Yuri, and then the other one is probably gonna be that other girl that we just found dead. All that could be heard was white noise.
今のは要救助者の
Watase put the PDA away. Kazumi, who'd finally regained her wits, spoke up.
ええこの施設に取り残されている可能性がある人物を我々に伝えようとしていたのでしょう。なんて言ってたと思う？
つなぎ合わせると死者を含め取り残されてるのは
堂島と檜山、研究員2名、
それから高校生3名。
待って、それだけじゃない。最後にまだ何か言ってたわよ。
あ、確か少女2名とか。
少女って。
Everyone's eyes focused on Yuri all at once.
多分私のことだと思います。
だろうな。じゃあもう一人はあの女の子か。
Watase then got to thinking. Out of all the people the commander had said were still trapped there, Dojima and Hiyama, the 2 researchers, and one of the girls were already dead. Apart from that, there was one other girl, Yuri, and 3 high school students.
やっぱりまだあの3人は脱出していなかったのか。
Anna was taken aback by Watase's words.
じゃあ、あの子たちはどこかに倒れて。大変や、きっと見落としてしまったんだわ。
落ち着いてください、椿山さん。彼らが移動している可能性もあります。我々はなるべく固まって行動していました。そして捜索の道順はほぼいつも一方向だけでした。ならば行き違いになったと考えるのが妥当です。
The group had indeed searched all the areas, including the contaminated zones. So if Kazumi's theory was correct, then it made total sense why they hadn't found them yet.
でも、だったらなおのことすぐ探しに行かなきゃ。
待て先生、その前に考えなきゃならんことがある。
何をよ。
今俺たちが置かれている状況についてだ。
Watase was talking about the cargo lift, the room with the body.
破壊されていた脱出口に見知らぬ少女の死体って。 これは一体どういう状況なんだ。
There was no one who could answer that question. Exactly. We got some kind of killer running around here, man. In the end, it was Cosme who broke the heavy silence.
状況を整理しましょう。私にはあの子がここから逃げようとして亡くなったように見えました。ほら、これを見てください。
Cosme then took a security card out of her pocket. The name Shuya Adeguchi was on it, as were the words Level N.
レベル N? どうしたんだこれ。
It was ranked higher than level 6, than the level 6 cards that the group had.
あの少女の遺体のそばに落ちていたんです。彼女はこれを使って搬出リフトの前までやってきたのでしょう。
でもどうしてあの子こんなレベルの高いカードを。何者なの？
ゆうりくん同様職員の家族か。
ただともかく彼女は必死でここまでたどり着き、しかし出口がないことに絶望して
But
力
then
尽
who
き
the
た。
fuck shot her?
でもだったら誰がリフトを壊したんだ。
Everyone's faces froze over at that question.
壊した。
What? Yeah, who broke the elevator? Sure. Who the fuck shot the little girl? Can we ask that question? We have found so far. So we found the 2 researchers plus one of our fellow rescue team members riddled with fucking bullet holes. And now we found a little girl who has also been shot. And that's not our immediate question, is who the fuck shot these people?
あれはどう考えても偶然壊れたもんじゃない。誰かが意図的に壊したんだ。
あの子が壊したって可能性は？
ゼロじゃないが普通に考えればないだろう。
しかしいずれにせよそんなことをして何の得があるのですか？リフトのコンパネが壊されているということは、壊した人は地下に残ったということです。しかしこんな場所に自ら残りたがる人がいるとは思えません。
それは
Wadase didn't have a clue either. Who in their right mind would be willing to brave the risk of being trapped in this place to the point of cutting off their own escape route? But his thoughts were interrupted by Anna's subdued voice.
例の犯人じゃないの？
犯人って先生何の。
そこの子を殺した犯人よ。
Thank you, jeez, thank you, Anna.
第3エリアで
See, I
3
knew I
人を
liked Anna.
殺したのと同一犯のね。
Wadase's mind flashed back for a second to the grotesque sight he'd witnessed in that room. 2 of the corpses there had bullet wounds, just like the girl. Yeah, it is possible that the killer of those people is the one in the same.
皆さんは今まであの3つの死体から目をそらしてきたわね。人殺しは逃げたということで、犯人についての議論は棚上げにしていた。犯人探しはここから脱出してからやればいいと思っていたんでしょう。
ええ。
Cosme had sternly told everyone that back when they found the
で
bodies.
もその前提が狂ってしまった。どうやら脱出は容易じゃない。だからもう言わせてもらうわ。これはただの事故じゃないのよ。
And his sharp voice echoed in the silent factory.
ただの事故じゃないってどういう。
脱出経路に銃殺体があったなら、逃げようとしたところを撃ち殺されたと考えるのが普通でしょ。脱出不能な地下施設の中で殺人事件が起きた。だったらその閉鎖空間は。
Isn't it possible the killers who created this closed space?
そんな何のために？
どうしても殺したい相手がいて、その人を殺すために残ったかもしれないわね。例えば核液が閉鎖されている間に全ての死体を焼いてしまえば証拠だって残らないもの。
やめろ先生、憶測が過ぎるぞ。いたずらに不安を煽ってどうする。
Wadase finally grew sick of Enna's conspiracy theories and objected. But then Jun cut in.
ちょっと待って、二人とも。
I'm with Anna here, bro. She is very much in the right for this. It's like, yeah, a nuclear meltdown happens, and now we found 3 bodies, all of which have been shot to death, and 1 body which has been violently fucking mangled. Like, let's put two and two together here. And all of the fucking escape routes are all cut off.
何？
いや、今までは関連性をあまり考えてなかったんだけど、
All of a sudden the music changes.
実は近頃6名士にこの
This
ラボがある
is so out of fucking...
テロリストが侵入したかもしれないんだよ。
What the fuck? Okay. So we've already got that Rokame is like a secret government city which has a high-tech nuclear research facility. But now we have that the city may have been invaded by terrorists. And we have this super out of fucking nowhere music that is completely not appropriate for what's happening right now.
テロリスト？
That sudden phrase left Watase in shock.
なぜそう思うの？
信憑性に欠けるかもしれないけど、そういう噂があったんだよ。最近街のあちこちで似たような事件が起きてたし、昨日だって他の大きな研究施設が爆破されたんだ。
原子炉を狙ったテロ。ありえない話じゃないわね。やたらと起きていた爆発と火災、不自然に停止していた消火システム、考えてみれば明らかに人為的だもの。それに原子炉を爆破でもすれば破壊活動としてはものすごい成果を上げられるものね。
If that theory was indeed correct, then it was no surprise that there'd be bullet holes in all those corpses. The terrorists truly are behind this. Then that would also explain why so many unnatural situations have kept on piling up. Barukira scoffed.
君たちは映画か何かの見過ぎじゃないのかね？テロだって？バカバカしい。この施設の警備の厳重さを知らないのかね？原子炉を保有している施設は超法規的警備を行うことが認められている。自衛隊から出向した警備員がライフルとライアットガンを装備し24時間警備をしているんだ。それを乗り越えてまでテロを敢行するなどフィクションの世界の話だよ。
言うわね。でも万全だったはずの防災システムも蓋を開ければザルだったじゃない。
See, Anna's right. She's my girl. She's my bae.
その警備の隙を突かれてテロリストの侵入を許したという可能性はどこかに抜け道があるんじゃないの？
抜け道ってそんなこと僕に分かるわけないだろう。
Hey man, if you can't even know if there could be loopholes, then you clearly don't know enough about your security.
自説にこだわりすぎて論理性を失ってるよ君は。
そう。事実あそこにも見知らぬ少女が侵入しているわけだし、あなたの信頼する警備システムとやらも信頼に足るとは思えないわ。
そんなにも我が施設の責任にしたいのかね君は。
Ukita and Anna felt like they were standing right next to a powder keg ready to explode.
やめてください。
Yuri timidly pleaded to them, but then someone least expected also spoke up.
確かにテロリストの存在については一応考慮するべきかもしれませんね。
何？
副隊長、信じてくれるの？
ええ、多少は。しかしテロリストなんてものが実際にいたと仮定しても、やはり以前も申し上げた通り、犯人は隔壁の閉鎖前に脱出している可能性が高いと思います。
それはどういう根拠で？
テロリストも我々同様閉じ込められたとしたら、隔壁封鎖からすでに5時間近く経ってますが、なぜこうも姿を現さないのでしょうか。銃を持っているのなら我々を人質に取るなり AD を取り上げるなりいくらでもできるはずです。
Yeah, but I mean, it's like these are terrorists, so they may already have their own AD or some form of protection, for one. And then for two, who's to say they would even want the AD, right? I mean, if these are like religious radicalists, then they would probably not give a shit if they came in here and died from radiation poisoning anyway, so they wouldn't care about AD at all.
なのにそれをしない。どう考えても不自然です。以上が私の考えです。
でもさっきの通信で 銃を持った人間は地上に脱出してはいないと言っていたわよね。それについては？
どこかに銃を捨てればいいだけの話です。そして各駅閉鎖直前のあの大パニックに紛れ込めばいくらでも逃げることができるでしょう。
It was a well thought out logical reasoning that befitted someone like Kazumi.
私もそう思います。
Yuri voiced her own opinion, a rather rare occasion to say the least.
待ってよ副隊長、そう考えるのは早計じゃない？
何ですか森部。
いつも私に言ってんじゃん。現状では最悪の事態を常に想定しろって。もしテロリストが地下に残ってたら危険の質が全然変わってくるでしょ。
それとこれとは別種の話です。我々は刑事じゃありませんよ。
Yeah, we're not detectives, but at this point, let's be real, we're not rescue workers either. We are really just as in a fucked situation as all the civilians. So I say, hey, there's no reason to be pulling any kind of... There's no reason to be, like, backing out of this potential right here.
でも可能性を考慮することは
Thank
大事
you,
だ。
Anna. My girl, my baby.
では何かね、地下に残っている9人の中にテロリストが紛れ込んでいるとでも？まさか君は自分の生徒を疑うのかね？
何をバカなことを言ってんのよ。そんなこと誰も言ってないでしょ。
ではこの6人の中にテロリストがいると？それはますますありえません。この中に悪意のある人間が混ざっていたとしたら我々は
Ukida's a terrorist.
今よりはるかに苦境に立たされているはずです。
Everyone was voicing their own opinions, and Wadase thought they all had their own good points. But having this debate drag on for so long was truly getting unpleasant.
わかった。ちょっと落ち着こうみんな。
何よ隊長さん、あなただけ何も意見を言ってないじゃない。
わかってる。でもとりあえず一度自説は引っ込めて。
But before Wadase could say any more,
うわっ
a shock ran through his head. And right after that, countless scenes flashed through his brain. What? We're going back. Wadase was confused by this random phenomenon. The events of the last few hours flashed before him. Everything from when he'd woken up in Area 1 to arriving in Area 6. It all streamed past his eyes like a muddy stream for some reason. And then disappeared.
何よ急に黙って。
Anna and the others were staring at Wadase with wide eyes, but he was so surprised that he was at a complete loss for words. What the hell was that? It was clearly bizarre. It wasn't like he'd been reflecting on his memories. No, this was totally different. He'd remembered everything that had happened until this point in a second, and in such minute detail at that. And at that exact moment he made several connections about a few of the things he'd observed up until now. Wait a minute. Let's say there is a terrorist down here. Which one of the 9 trapped in this facility would be the most likely suspect? Holy shit! Oh my god, wait, what? Okay, hold up. Brother. We're saving. We're saving. Okay, we're gonna save. Suspicions started faintly flaring up in Wadase's heart. They swiftly grew bigger. He said that Labo's security is so strict that no terrorist could ever sneak in. But the old man's a staff member here. It would have been easy for him to let a terrorist in. Whoa. Now, oh my god. Okay. Oh, let's calm down here, fellas. Let's calm down here. What are the odds that the loophole in security Teach was talking about could be the old man Ukida? No, wait. It's not restricted to the old man. Maybe it was one of the other researchers who's already evacuated. Those doubts begot even more doubts. No, what if it's the other way around? What are the odds that Teach is a terrorist? Now that I think about it, her reason for being here is flimsy to begin with. We have no clue if she was really summoned here by a staffer. No! Okay. Let's think about this calmly and logically. Us as a third-person spectator have the gift of being clued in on a couple different things. We know for a fact that there is someone/something down here that should not be here and is absolutely here to hurt people. We know that that thing and or person is in a human form or is a human. If it was somebody amongst us, we'd have to proceed under the presumption that all of these deaths happened before we even arrived. So, I mean, it would probably go back between Ukida and one of the kids, I guess, maybe? And then Yuri, maybe. But I think right now this is going to be something between Ukida and Anna. In terms of who we decide to accuse. It's interesting. It is interesting. I don't think it's Ukida. Could it be Anna? I mean, no way it's her, though. She's put herself in a lot of danger in order to save me and also to try and catch up with her students. I don't think it's either. I think this is purposefully trying to build suspicion and shit. So I'm going to up this to max. I'm going to keep everybody max right now. But Watase immediately denied those suspicions. Anna was a normal teacher no matter what angle one viewed her from. There's nothing about her that seemed remotely like a terrorist. What about Tachibana and Moribe? There's nothing strange about anything they've said and done. They've always acted in the interest of everyone's safety. I'm sure I can trust them. In fact, isn't the reason that the lockdown is still going on the thing that's fishy here? Is it really because of the radiation leakage control system? His doubts just kept on summoning one more doubt. But something was bizarre. Putting aside the images he'd just seen and his chain of rising doubt, it feels like someone's commanding me to recall everything you've seen so far and think about the path that has led you up to this point. But who could that someone be? Watase looked over everyone's faces. He was still just as perplexed about the phenomenon as he had been from the start. He glanced at Kazumi, Jun, Ukida, Anna, and then... It was then that he noticed it. Yuri was gone.
Yuri ga inai.
Watase's surprised declaration sent everyone turning around.
本当だ。どうして？まさかまた逃げたの？
ユリさん
Kazumi frantically looked around. Watase also turned around and saw the Area 5 gate opening with Yuri running through it.
いた。第5エリアに行った。
そんなどうやってゲートを？
And she don't swipe somebody's card.
セキュリティカードを隠し持っていたの。
いいから追いましょう
Yuri's a terrorist! Nah, probably not. The group all broke off into a dash at once. Area 5, Outer Ring B2. Kazumi spoke up to the rest of the group as soon as they all ran in there.
我々もはぐれる可能性があります見つけても見つからなくても10分後に脳科学実験室に集合しましょう
Watase checked the time on his watch. It said 12:31 p.m.
わかった。
The group all gave similar answers and split up. Kazumi and Jun kept going straight towards Area 4. They probably planned to seal off the other exits before Yuri could flee to another area. Anna and Ukida checked all the nearby rooms, and so Watase headed for the inner ring. I don't think Moribe ever told Yuri that the inner ring was a contaminated zone. If she ran there, that must mean... Watase's thoughts were interrupted by a voice echoing in his head. It was the first time in a while he'd heard that auditory hallucination. Watase had to take the contaminated zone as if guided by the voice. He ran through the connecting passageway and plunged straight into the inner ring. His Brokyon's alarm immediately started beeping. The indicator read 9,355 MSV, but he ignored it and started shouting.
Yuri! どこにいるんだ Yuri!
He checked every single room in his search, but Yuri was nowhere to be seen. To be safe, Watase went to check the elevator hall. And that was where he found her.
Yuri!
Upon hearing Watase's shout, Yuri twitched with a start and turned around.
やっぱり追ってきてくれたんですね。
やっぱりって、そりゃそうだろ。それよりユーリ、ここは危険なんだ。汚染区域なんだよ。
A troubled smile rose to Yuri's face at those words.
そうなんですか。なのに隊長さんは私のために飛び込んできてくれた。
ユーリ
Yuri paid no heed to Watase's confusion and looked him dead in the eye.
いつもそうやって心配してくれるんですね。
Yes, I am. So let's go, girl. Come on.
だったらどうしてあの時
What?
あんなひどいことをしたんですか。
何
Watase gasped. He had no recollection of ever doing anything of the sort.
ひどいことって。
本当に忘れてしまったんですか。
Her voice was filled with some unknown emotion.
私はもう少しで死んでしまうところでした。
A mixture of confusion and terror.
火の中に置き去りにされて本当に。
Her words were shaking Watase up.
なのに私を助けたのも隊長さんだった。
Watase felt something new gripping his heart.
どういうつもりなんですか。
An intense fear.
ユーリ
Please just fucking tell us. He somehow knew that Yuri was about to reveal something truly horrifying. Something he didn't know. Something he shouldn't know. But Yuri shook her head.
あなたにわからないんだったら私にも
Come on!
私にはもう何もわからないんです。
Yuri quietly walked over to him.
お願いです。教えてください。あなたの心を。
Yuri said that and turned her palm towards Watase, only for a bizarre scene to play back through his head. Here we go. It was a memory he had no recollection of. Something was grabbing his wrist. It then laughed ominously. The man spotted a broken wristwatch out of the corner of his eye, and a second later, he was assaulted by an intense pain akin to his brain being crushed. Something else was also welling up inside Watase. It was unmistakably fear. And Watase felt that very same emotion towards the girl standing right before him. Oh. Watase immediately ran out of the elevator hall. Once he shut the door, he suddenly came to his senses. Shit, what the hell am I doing? Why do I need to run from Yuri? She's Yuri. She's not that monster. Just as he thought that, a sharp pain shot through his head. Watase held his head and screamed. The scream echoed in his skull, jumbling his thoughts into disorder. What the hell is this? I've never felt anything like this. Until now, is this radiation damage? It's because I've been contaminated to the contaminated zone several times. He had a horrible headache, like something was piercing through his head and scrambling his brain. The pain spread to his whole body, and his stomach felt like it was being stretched out. Oh shit. Watase threw up. There was nothing in his stomach, so all that came up was stomach acid mixed with blood that splattered all over the hallway. His consciousness was fading quickly. My memories were shattered back then, and my past self's memories. My... Oh? Watase screamed again and forced his consciousness to stay where it was. Ooh, that's interesting. It's almost as if we are his suppressed memory. Huh. His memories had been muddled by that intense headache. He looked down to find there was red vomit at his feet. What just happened to me? What was I doing? He shuffled through his memories and quickly remembered that he'd been searching for Yuri. Damn it! If I suffer this much from radiation, then Yuri's in danger. That frail girl could never survive in such a dangerous place. The only thing Watase felt was concern for her. It felt like he'd just been feeling some other sort of emotion for her. But whatever it was had completely vanished. Watase spat out the disgusting taste filling his mouth. He then ran back over to the elevator hall. But Yuri was no longer there. There was nowhere to run from the elevator hall, so where had she gone?
はしごを伝って地下1階に行ったのか。
Watase opened the elevator doors with that thought. The elevator car was still up on the surface floors, just as it had been earlier. Watase climbed up the ladder through the darkness. Oh shit. Ooh, this is probably gonna be like a decision to keep searching or just like leave her. But when he got to B1, Yuri was still nowhere to be found. I'm gonna save. Watase ran around the block. However, even after looking through all the rooms, there was still no hide nor hair of Yuri to be found. Why? Where did she go? However, wondering why she was gone wouldn't do any good. He had to keep searching.
Yuri! どこにいるんだ! Yuri!
He ran towards the outer ring as he shouted that. Once he approached the connecting passageway, he saw Kazumi and Jun.
立花! 森部!
隊長
The two of them rushed over to him as soon as they heard his calls.
ゆりちゃんいた。
ついさっき内周島で見かけたが見失った。
こっちもです。第4エリア側に行かないようにゲート周辺を固めていたのですが、
どこにもいない。
The three of them all exchanged glances.
消えた。なぜだ。
入れ違いになったのでしょうか。
変だね。それにどうしてゆりちゃんはさっきこの第5エリアに入れたんだろう。
はあ、それも妙だ。
It went without saying, but you needed a level 5 or higher card to open the security gate to Area 5. But all the cards they'd acquired so far were in the possession of Watase, Kazumi, and Jun. No one else should have a card.
ゆりちゃん、
Oh.
カードを隠し持っていたの？
どうもそうとしか思えないな。でもどうしてユーリはそのことについて隠していたんだろう。
Yuri's motives had suddenly become incomprehensible to them. Yet another silence descended upon them. Eventually, Kazumi broke that silence with a sigh.
ここで議論していても答えは出ませんね。ひとまず脳科学実験室に行きましょう。そろそろ約束の集合時間ですから。
何？もうか。
Watase checked his watch. It was 12:35 p.m. It was indeed almost time for them to meet up. Have I really been searching for that long? Watase followed Kazumi and Jun as a vague sense of dissatisfaction coiled around him. He then called out to Kazumi as they walked.
立花、内周島は汚染されていた。ユーリの身が心配だ。
え？
汚染区域になっているってことはユーリにも伝えたが、それでもあいつは逃げたんだ。
そんな、どうして？
俺にもわからん。以前にもこうして逃げたことがあったが。
Kazumi hung her head when Watase said that.
AD の効果はまだ1時間近くある。それまでに探さなきゃまずい。もっともユーリはカードを隠し持っていたように AD も隠し持っている可能性はゼロではないが。立花。
Huh? Kazumi was dead silent. Perhaps she hadn't heard Watase. It was then that her lips faintly moved, releasing a small whisper.
お願いしていて。
What is happening, bro? Okay, let's play ball. Right, surely? Hold up. Let's save real quick first. We're gonna save this, and we're gonna play ball. Kazumi picked up the pace when she said that.
おい。
She didn't turn around even from that. Watase turned back towards Jun, though only faintly he could sense something was off.
なあ森部。さっきから立花のやつちょっと変じゃないか。搬出リフトのところで少女の遺体を見つけた時も渚がどうとかって言ってたけど。
Jun's face froze over.
また渚の名前つぶやいてた？
いや、でもあの時と同じ感じになってる。渚って何なんだ。なんでいつも冷静な立花があんな風に。
Jun breathed a deep sigh at Watase's question.
私もあまりこのことについては話したくはないんだけど、教えといた方が良さそうだから話すよ。
She then began quietly talking.
渚ってのは副隊長の妹の名前なんだ。
妹？
そう、もう10年近くも前に亡くなった最愛の妹。
Watase gasped at that answer.
その子はどうして？
副隊長が家を空けている間にガス爆発事故が起きて、渚が生きていればちょうどゆうりちゃんやリフトのところで死んでいたあの子くらいの年になる。常に冷静で完全無欠な副隊長の唯一の傷がそれなんだよ。あの年頃の子が危険にさらされたり傷ついているのを見ると冷静じゃいられなくなるんだ。
だからさっきみたいに。
うん。副隊長はきっと今でも家を留守にした自分を責めているんだと思う。副隊長は何も悪くないのに。
Watase looked at Kazumi in surprise. She was walking slightly ahead of them. It felt like she was being weighed down by the heavy weight of her past on that back of hers.
何をしているのですか、二人とも。
Kazumi's face was already back to the way it normally was, so Watase and Jun answered the way they always did.
ああ、すまない。
了解。急ごう、隊長。
They then followed Kazumi, all while wanting to share even the smallest bit of the bitter past that tormented their comrade. What the fuck is happening? I want to go back and try something. Oh no, that's a quick load. So here, load. I want to go back to here, right? I'm just curious what's gonna happen if we change our thing, if we like lowered it. So he still runs around the block. Where'd she go? Oh, okay, something different. But then the feeling that something didn't add up hit him at that moment. Yuri was so scared about going down the elevator shaft that I had to carry her, and she was totally okay with climbing up. As she got up there faster than I could catch her? This isn't normal. His inner doubts began rapidly piling up. Something was off. Something about this wasn't right. What is this? What is it? Did Yuri do something to me? Did Yuri do something to me? What the hell's wrong with me? Watase was confused by his own baseless thoughts. Just then, a memory flashed through his brain. A memory of a mere few minutes ago. Now, mind you, our little sympathy wheel up there went red. So we're probably about to die here, but this is really interesting that this is the decision that gets us to like recall all this. He'd found Yuri in the elevator shaft. She'd been saying something to him, but oddly enough, he couldn't remember what it was. Yuri eventually walked over towards him calmly. And that was it. Everything after that had up and vanished. No, that wasn't it. Even the memory Watase had just remembered was a total mystery to him. What? I lost my memory without even being aware of it? No way. Could that have happened when my memories got muddled up a minute ago? But there was one thing he didn't understand. Why had Yuri been so calm when she was hanging around in a contaminated zone? Mysterious anxiety burst into Watase's heart. Could it be that Yuri isn't affected by radiation? Even he knew that was an utterly insane idea, but something inside Watase was asserting that belief. If she's immune to radiation, and the fact that there was even a blank in Watase's memory of the previous time that he'd been in the elevator hall meant, could Yuri still be lurking around in the contaminated zone? Watase came to that conclusion and quickly backtracked to B2. He suffered a horrific headache the moment he returned to the contaminated zone. Watase then became sure of it. There's no way a frail girl like Yuri could have ever put up with a headache like that. Then that means she really is. But if that's the case, then what in the world is Yuri? If there really was a person unaffected by radiation, then they were probably something not human. Remember. Watase kept on commanding himself to remember with all his might as he searched the contaminated zone. He felt that the answer lied somewhere in his vanished memories. His headache grew much worse at that very moment. But Watase gritted his teeth and explored and desperately searched his memories. That's right. I found Yuri in the elevator hall back then. She then stretched her palm out to me and then... That's right. I got scared. Because I saw Yuri and that monster as one and the same. Watase remembered that. But just then... Okay, so he probably dies here. Yeah, his brain fucking explodes. Yep. Okay. Huh. Interesting. So... yeah, so... Interesting. I am... That raises some questions right there. That definitely raises some questions. So, if we're to go off of that, that means that it could potentially be that Yuri is actually the monster. Maybe. Either Yuri is the monster, or she has some kind of... Okay. Based off of what we know and what I've kind of theorized, we know that this auditory hallucination that we keep getting, I'm assuming is coming from the group of high school kids. And we'll probably get more of that when we switch over to their perspective. Now, obviously, we know that Yuri has been a big part of this story from the get-go, and we also know that Watase had run off in order to specifically save her. Watase seemed to be aware of the monster and what the monster was when he encountered it. But even for us, there's a piece of the puzzle missing. Because we know he went to find Yuri, presumably found her, but then something happened in between when he found her and then when he woke up and then saved her, that he did something. Something happened. We don't know. We know that he fought the monster. We don't know if the monster did something to him, if the monster did something to Yuri, if he did something to both of them. But now the theory has been set on the table that Yuri is unaffected by the radiation. And then obviously he said, oh, well, what if Yuri and the monster are one and the same? So that could mean a number of things. That could mean that maybe the monster was a product of some kind of experiment going on in this lab, right? Maybe Yuri is also a product of that experiment as well. Hell, maybe even the other girl that we came across that was dead was also a product of that experimentation. Maybe they were trying to find a way to make humans unaffected by radiation. And something went wrong, and now one of their test subjects is out for revenge, right? Something like that. I could totally see that being the case. But we are going to drop this back down because I do still want to get... that background on her. Okay. Watase, Kazumi, and Jun filed into the room. Anna and Ukita were not far behind, but no one had seen Yuri.
私は地下2階を探していたんだけど、どこにもいなかったわ。
僕もだが。
やはり見失ってしまいましたか。
The gloomy look in Kazumi's face as she said that led Watase to bow his head.
すまん。
隊長のせいじゃないよ。みんなで探して見つけられなかったんだし。
Ukita suddenly spoke up when he heard Jun's comment.
隊長さんのせいじゃない？本当にそうなのだろうか。
What the fuck, Ukita?
前から気になっていたんだが、ユーリ君は君に対して怯えていたような素振り
Oh,
が
he's kind of got a valid point. I can't even hate him for that. This was the exact same thing that'd been bugging Watase this whole time, but someone finally pointed it out. But Kazumi quizzically asked a question of her own.
浮田さん、それはどういう意味でしょう？
そのままの意味だよ。第三エリアでの捜索中、ユーリ君が姿を消したことがあったね。
ああ。
僕はね、あれはユーリ君が君から逃げようとしたんじゃないかとずっと思っていたんだ。
何？
浮田さん、どうしてそう思うの？
いや、君らは気づかなかったのかね。隊長さんが話しかけると、彼女はいつもビクッと身を震わせていただろう。
Kazumi and Jun's faces froze over.
確かにそんな素振りはあったけど。
災害の現状で要救助者が極度に怯えるのはよくあることです。ましてこの場は稀に見る劣悪環境。あのくらいの反応は普通のはずなんです。
みんながそう思いたいなら構わないがね。しかしどうだね隊長さん、君自身には何か心当たりはないかね。
いや。
His voice lacked any strength. Watase had no basis on which to deny Ukida's suspicions. As for why, it was because he didn't remember anything from before he'd woken up. Did I do something horrible to Yuri? Before I lost my memories?
どうなんだね隊長さん、本当に心当たりがないと言い切れるのかね。だいたい君はどうして地下に降りてきたんだね。なぜ記憶を失った？
それは
外傷による記憶喪失は時間とともに回復するのが常だ。なのにいつまで経っても回復しない。妙ではないかね。
Ukida's questioning had turned into an all-out interrogation. Jun chose that moment to cut in.
浮田さん、何か言いたいことがあるの？
あるとも。そりゃ隊長さんの記憶喪失は嘘なのではないかということだよ。
Okay. Calm down, buddy. I very much don't have my memories. Everyone gasped at that declaration.
なぜそんな嘘をつく必要があるんですか？
何か隠したいことがあるから、そう思ったのさ。いや、実を言ってしまえば、僕は最初からそう睨んでいたんだ。
何？
僕は数時間前、君にセキュリティカードを奪われたね。おかげで僕は第三エリアから移動できなくなってしまった。だが今考えれば、あれだってかなり妙だ。なぜセキュリティカードを奪う必要があるんだ？我々職員に隠れて何かしたいことがあったんじゃないのか？
何かってなんだよ。
そんなことを僕に聞かれてもわかるわけがない。だがユーリ君の怯えと何か関係があ
Okay,
るよ
you're
うに
getting
思
off
えてしょ
topic,
うがない
buddy. Ooh, shit. Oh, whoa. This is us. Hold up now, brother. God, we have to do more thinking. Okay. Obviously, we know that his amnesia is real. However, we also know that it's not caused by external trauma. We know that there's something more happening. However, Ukida's right on that track, but he's very wrong about us trying to hide it. We did do something to Yuri. Even Yuri herself has said that, oh, you did something so horrible to me, and yet you're the one who saved me. Right? But he's getting off track here. So this is for ourself. This is our sympathy for ourself. So I guess in this case, the real question would be, this is going to be a decision between, do we start to doubt ourselves or do we not? Let's doubt ourselves. at least this time. And we'll see what happens.
その上、他殺体がいくつも出ているんだ。
Oh, well, now he's suspecting me of the murders. Okay.
俺は何も悪いことはしていない。たとえ記憶がなかろうと。
ならばその潔白を証明してくれたまえ。
しかし、そんなことを言われても。
What is his voice trailed off there? How the hell is anyone supposed to prove that they had amnesia? He looked at Kazumi and the others for help, but they just stared at him with cold eyes.
確かに記憶がないのは
Uh-oh, we might have fucked up. Jun's eyes were full of suspicion.
隊長、何か証明できるものはないのですか？
Kazumi said that in a pleading voice. Anna didn't say anything.
そんな
Watase's feet started to shake when he saw their reactions.
分かっただろう隊長さん。ユーリ君だけではない。みんなも怯えているんだ。
しかし俺は本当に
なんだね。では記憶がない間の行動を説明できるとでも言うのかね。
So, obviously, if this was the other way around, we would have kind of backed ourselves up a little bit. Watase groaned. He was bitter that he had no comeback to that, frustrated that he couldn't remember anything, and above all else, he desired from the bottom of his heart to know what he had indeed been doing. Damn it. What in the world was I doing? What the hell was I... But just as Watase thought this, light burst open in his head. Watase instinctively held his head.
なんだ。
隊長、
どうしたの？
The rest of the group called out to Watase, but their voices sounded distant to him. His sense of time simultaneously lost all normality, as if every second were as long as an eternity, and eternity was as short as a second. His vision grew disoriented and was dyed black. He heard a voice echo through the darkness. Oh. Watase sprung off into a run when he heard those voices. There was a watch right in his line of sight. The hands pointed at 6:42. And right after his memory of seeing the time... A hazy scene emerged from the darkness. Here we go. It was of something that happened right in Labo. Watase was running through some connecting passageway. What the hell is this? There were two men in protection suits running along with them. Are these Dojima and Hiyama? The voices were muffled, so he had a hard time making out what they were saying. His field of vision was also foggy. It was then that Watase finally realized it. I get it. I'm also wearing a protection suit. Before long, he heard a boy's voice through his protection suit. Watase could see a boy and some girls standing further down the hallway. The boy shouted that as soon as he saw Watase and the others. One of the girls jumped for joy and waved at Watase and the others. Next to her was another person, a blonde-haired girl. Watase and the others ran up to them.
どうしてこんなところに？偶然ここにいて巻き込まれてしまったんです。
他に連れはいるのか？
いえ、ここにいる3人で全員です。
名前は？
夏彦と真白。それからこっちはサリュです。
サリュ？
それはあだ名。三宮ルイーズユイを縮めた。
そうか。
Watase checked the time as he said this. The watch's hands were pointing to 6:52. The scenery in front of him swayed and vanished at that moment. And then images flashed by one after another. This is... There were sights Watase had seen just a few hours ago. Fragments of his lost memories.
これはこんなところに AD が施設内にもこんな大量に保管されていたのか
Huh.
あなたは
レスキュー隊だ君を助けに来たんださあこの薬をいやダメだこれを投与しなければ危険なんだ暴れないでくれ頼む逃げられてしまった彼女はどこに N エリアこの先でメルトダウンが頭が
And with the screams is the finale. The image is shattered and faded away. Watase screamed again as he returned to reality.
隊長、落ち着いてください。隊長。
Okay, what the fuck? Okay. So, we're kind of having to piece some stuff together from this and from the beginning of the game and all the shit in between. So we know that we arrived on scene. There was only a select few who were actually sent down to the basement. So it looks like us, Dojima, potentially Dojima and Hiyama, all three went into the basement. Ran into the 3 high school students. But we don't know exactly what we did with them after that, is the thing. We know that they're still down here, but now we know that we have indeed run into them and been introduced to them before. So we don't know, oh, we ran into them and then left them there, told them to go off told them, hey, get out of here, and then maybe the lockdown happened and they got trapped, or maybe they ended up circling back down there for whatever reason and didn't end up leaving. We know, again, like I said, that we were specifically ordered to find the girl. To find Yuri. So it seems that this was us finding her, or at least running into her, trying to give her the ampule. She refuses, runs away. For some reason. She has a fucking history of running away from us. And then we freak out. So it's like now we're trying to have to figure out, where does our interaction with the monster come into play? Still, what did we do to Yuri? We can't, because if she ran away the first time, we can't have just run after her, lost our memories there, right? Or maybe we ended up, maybe something happened to us, and while we were unconscious, we ended up doing something to her, but then we managed to gain back our consciousness. Or something like that. Or it could also be that, just again, we're still missing too many pieces of the puzzle to really put everything together. So we know we went down there, set up some kind of base camp. At some point, we broke off alone, searched for Yuri, found her, she ran away, maybe found her again. At some point, ran into the monster, had to fight. Something happened to us. So again, either something happened to us, we did something to her, lost our memories, came back, saved her. Vice versa. There could be 1,000 combinations to that. But okay. Just need to process that, because that was a lot. Kazumi's voice brought him back to his senses. He realized that he was now back where he'd started, the neuroscience laboratory.
大丈夫？
大丈夫だ。
Watase took a deep breath and spoke.
それより思い出した。
え？思い出したって？
記憶が戻ったんだ。何？
Ukida's eyes widened.
バカな。ずっと消えていた記憶が戻っただと？ああ。ほんの一部だが。ちょっと待て、何を言い出すつもりだ。どうってことはないさ。ただ俺の潔白を証明する足しにはなるかもしれん。なんだと。
Watase then slowly began to talk.
順を追って話そう。俺が地下に降りてきたのは堂島と檜山に呼ばれたからだ。そう、確か地下に要救助者がいるという無線が入ったんだよ。
いつ？
いつだったか。そうだ、6時42分だ。
6時42分。その時刻は正確ですか？
ああ。
He checked his watch at that time. The hands were pointing at exactly 6:42. There's no mistake about that. There was also something about that part that felt slightly off to him, but he decided to trust his memories.
そして第2エリアに行き、夏彦と真白、そしてサリュを見たんだ。
サリュ？
三宮ルイーズ・ユイのあだ名だ。 由来は単純にフルネームを縮めたものだと言っていた。
His memories of that time were gradually growing clearer and clearer. He was sure that that was the name that Natsuhiko and Mashido called her by.
隊長さんの言う通り、天川君たちは彼女をそう呼んでいたわ。
Anna added that. Kazumi then spoke as if she'd also remembered something.
そういえば私たちが地下に要救助者がいるのを見たのも
第2エリアだったね。
そうなの？
正確ではありませんが時間もほぼ合致してます。我々が消火活動をしている時隊長たちもすぐ近くにいたのかもしれません。
そうなのかもな。
Watase nodded, then continued.
ともかく俺と堂島と檜山は夏彦たちを保護し救助活動を続けることにした。だが俺はいつまでも地下にいるわけにはいかない。すぐに地上に戻ろうと思った。ひとまず夏彦たちのことは堂島と檜山に任せ、地上に一人で戻る途中有利に会ったんだ。
それからどうしたんだね。
俺は彼女を保護し共に地上に出ようとした。だが AD を撃とうとすると彼女はなぜか暴れ、そして逃げ出したんだ。
暴れた？なぜ？
それはあの時も今もわからん。
Silence hung in the air for a moment, but then Jun's voice broke it apart.
でも確かにユーリちゃんは AD の投与をいつも嫌がっていたね。
確かにそれは隊長が撃とうと私が撃とうと変わりませんでした。
そう。そして嫌がる有利に戸惑っていると彼女は俺の手を振り払い逃げたんだ。その後俺は有利を探して走り回った。そして N エリアの近くに行った。だがその時頭にひどい痛みが。
頭痛？まさか放射線障害？
わからん。頭に衝撃を受けたような。誰かに殴られたのかもしれん。
誰かって誰に？はっきりして重要なところよ。
すまん、本当にわからないんだ。
Watase unintentionally raised his voice, putting Anna into a startled silence.
記憶が戻ったと言ってもそのあたりはひどく断片的で。
Yeah, but again, we had this whole scuffle with the monster and ran off, like, in fear. So, there's that. Yuri did something to us. So we could probably also say that maybe Yuri is actually telepathic or an Esper, and she's just not telling the truth about that. Because, well, actually, mind you, she didn't even say that she didn't have the powers. She just said that she wasn't very good at it, is the thing. So she did use her powers there. But again, I do like the theory that there was some kind of other experiments going on, and maybe there's a few select subjects that were made resistant to the radiation, which is would explain why she was down here for some strange fucking reason.
ただ、これだけははっきり言える。
Watase looked square at everyone.
俺はユーリを助けようとしていたんだ。信じてもらえないかもしれないが、それは今も変わってない。
And with that, Watase's long story came to an end. It wasn't long before Ukida snorted.
どうにも頼りない記憶だね。今の話が真実だという証拠はあるのかね。
As soon as Ukida said that, one of Watase's memories came back to mind.
これはこんなところに AD が。施設内にもこんな大量に保管されていたのか。
証拠はある。
何？
記憶を失う前、俺は施設内で大量の AD を発見したんだ。
大量の AD？
あれは
His memory became clearer in the blink of an eye. The fragmented images linked together like pieces of a puzzle to reveal a familiar location to Watase.
そうだ。第5エリア内周島の地下2階だ。
そこって私と一緒に捜索した例の汚染区域じゃん。
ああ、あの AD を5本発見した部屋、天川美代子さんの研究室だ。見落としていたが、あの部屋にはまだ AD がたくさんあるんだよ。
He was nigh certain of that. There was no way he could have remembered such a vivid memory incorrectly.
もしその AD が今もまだあるなら、 俺の話が本当だという証明になるはずだ。
Ukita shut up at Watase's declaration. Jun and Kazumi quickly spoke up.
私調べてくる。私も行きます。
They then rushed out of the neuroscience laboratory. And then, just a few minutes later, Kazumi and Jun returned, their arms full of medical boxes.
隊長、確かにあったよ。あ
ったってどのくらいかね。
驚かないでください。
30 AD?
30本の AD が入ってま
Holy
した。
shit! We are locked in, baby! Okay, hold on. Let's do... So, but there's... Well, now there's 5 of us. But even if we had all 6 of us together, that's enough to last us the 5 hours that we need to last. Until... Because we said earlier we needed 5 more doses. That's enough to last us the 5 more hours.
30本？すごいじゃない。
Everyone's eyes widened at that piece of news. Watase was also surprised, but found himself breaking out into a genuine smile. That was much more AD than he'd been expecting.
マジかよ。30本だって。延べ30時間分の AD が。
これでもう AD 不足に悩まされる心配は当分ありませんよ。
だね。それに隊長の話が本当だったっ
On
て
the
証
go,
明
what
に
can
も
I
なる。
say? Ah!
そうでしょ、浮田さん。
Yeah, Ukida. Man, I thought we were homies, bro. And you gonna turn your back on me like that? Come on, man. Ukida looked away awkwardly.
信じてくれたか、おっさん。俺は有利に対してはもちろん、誰に対しても害なんて持ってないんだよ。もし俺が悪いやつだったら、発見した AD のことを誰にも言わず隠しているだろ。こうしてみんなに包み隠さず話したんだ。信じてくれ。頼む。
As soon as Watase's earnest pleas reached Ukida's ears, the latter finally started talking with a bitter tone in his voice.
確かに君の言う通りのようだね。
June's my goat. I love June. It felt like there was a similar glimmer of doubt in his eyes, but as long as he understands, then it's all I need. Jun then walked over to Watase.
ごめんね、隊長。すぐ信じてあげられなくて。
Watase saw guilt filling Jun's face. Thus, he made his best effort to speak to her as cheerfully as possible.
なんだそんなこと。別にいいよ。
でも、一瞬だけだけど、隊長の記憶喪失って本当かなって思っちゃったんだよ。
He may have indeed looked guilty from another's perspective. Maybe it'd be best if I avoided doing anything that makes me look suspicious to the others from now on. Watase thought that as Kazumi and the others spoke.
私は信じてましたよ。隊長は森部を叱るべきです。
そう？私は初めから記憶喪失って嘘くさいと思ってたけど。
That's why I love you, Anna. You ain't trying to pull any punches or get any sympathy from me.
なんだよ先生。相変わらずズケズケ言うな。
まあ、ひょっとしたらって程度だけどね。でも、なんだか本当みたいだし、その記憶もちょっと戻ってきたみたいだし、めったにない貴重な体験したと思えばいいんじゃない？
あんたな。
それってポジティブシンキングにも程があるね。
でも確かに貴重な体
Man,
験
I
ではあります。
guess. As if y'all weren't ready to fucking throw me to the goddamn wolves. The group laughed slightly at those words. It was more of a fake laugh intended to try and make them all forget about the events of the last few minutes, but it still relieved Watase. Their escape route had been cut off, another body had been found, and they'd lost Yuri on top of all that. Everyone was starting to get on edge, and their exhaustion was just piling up. So it was pretty much inevitable that a few arguments could pop up. That's right, I shouldn't worry about it. Everyone falling to pieces would be the worst possible situation at a time like this. And besides, his search isn't over yet. As a result, Watase forced himself to end his train of thought on the whole matter right then and there. Watase then quickly changed the topic.
さて、話がまとまったところで、それより大事な話をしよう。
ユーリさんのことですね。
ああ、この
But
広い施設で
we
はぐれ
did
ちまった
something to her,
非常に
though.
まずい。
Like, we know this. But then, maybe it wasn't us. Maybe it was, like, somebody or something else. Because, again, we still don't know the nature of this killer. We don't know who they are, what they can or can't do. I mean, like, there's so many questions, and even with our own self, there's so many questions to ask. But I still would like to say, they made some kind of excuse for it earlier, but why would a a lab that specializes in radioactivity and nuclear science need a neuroscience laboratory? That's just a little bit interesting, especially if we're playing with this idea of espers and fucking, radiation resistance. I'm just saying, because you got to think about it. If they can create a medicine that you can inject into yourself to make you pretty much immune to certain levels of radiation for a whole hour, then surely they would have tried to take it to the next step and said, well, what if we can make people fully resistant to it, right? So that's just me. Everyone nodded and focused on the conversation.
それに夏彦くんたちのことも気になるよ。ラボ内を全域捜索したのに見つからなかった。
やはり彼らも移動しているんでしょう。もしくは見落としているか。
捜索の仕方を見直すべきかしら。
Ukita quietly spoke after hearing Anna say this.
AD を探すのも重要じゃないかね。気づかないかね。30本の AD を手に入れたところで相変わらず数は足り
It
ない。
quite literally does I can't. It quite literally does, my nigga. I ain't gonna
リ
lie.
フトからの脱出が叶わなくなった以上、隔壁が開くのを待つしかない。だが、隔壁開放まで
Yeah,
の
and
記
we
録のた
have,
めには、
again,
あと
even
5
with
回 AD を
6
投与しなけ
people,
ればならないんだ。
even if Yuri was still here, we still have plenty of fucking doses, man.
そうか。ユーリや高校生3人組と合流できたとすると、全部で9人。
じゃあ、あと3時間少々しか生き残れない。
Wadase and the others gasped as that reality hit them. Indeed, not everyone would survive if the AD they had here was all they had left. It'd be a different story if we just stole someone's AD before they could take it, though. Horror at what he just thought immediately hit Wadase in full force. It felt like a life and death game of musical chairs. Yeah. It felt like a life and death game of musical chairs would inevitably break out at this rate. We don't have enough AD for 9 people. So, will it really come down to that? Oh shit. I'm gonna bump up Tachibana again. If they tried to use the 30 ampules of AD to survive for the remaining 5 hours, it'd be 30 ampules per 5 hours, which doesn't equal enough for 6 people. Which equals enough for 6 people. Only 6 could survive. The other 3 would be doomed to their fate. 9 minus 3 equals 6. Wadase worked out that sinister formula in his head. No, I mustn't be thinking about that. Wadase frantically dismissed the thought that had filled his mind for just a second. So imagining that sympathy scenario probably would have been us thinking, well, what if we just killed off this person or that person? Which, dude, I would be fully in fucking favor of killing off Ukita. Listen, we're homies and stuff like that, and he's been useful in, like, one scenario. He's expendable. Come on. I mean, Moribe and Kazumi, they're certified rescue workers. So at the very least, they have that know-how and knowledge. Enna, come on, Enna's just a baddie, right? Enna's definitely, Enna's actually saved us, like, multiple times. Well, I think if I'm remembering correctly. At the very least, when we had passed out from radiation poisoning, she helped us back. And then also, she's directly put herself in, like, danger's way to try and save her students. So we know that she's, like, about that shit. Ukita, not so much. I mean, he was helpful when he was showing us where the water valves were for the sprinkler system. But that's kind of it, honestly. I mean, he's kind of fucking useless otherwise. So, if it comes down, if we have to sacrifice a character, Ukita's fucking out of here, man. I need to be thinking of a way where everyone can survive. Wadase thought that as he checked his Procyon. The reading said 4,531 MSV.
このペースで汚染が進めば、 いずれ施設内の全域が8000ミリシーベルトを超えるかもしれないな。
そうなれば AD があってもなくても一緒か。
まずいわ。どうすればいいの？
考えうるやり方は次の4つですね。
Kazumi said that, then looked everyone dead in the eye.
1、とにかく最優先で脱出口を探す。2、ユーリさんを含む要救助者と AD を探しながら脱出口も探す。3、汚染速度を抑えるためゲートの破損箇所等を探し補修する。
Oh shit, my bad.
4、ユーリさんと要救助者と AD とゲートの破損箇所と脱出口のすべてを探す。どの道を選ぶかで我々の命運が決まるかもしれません。
Everyone gulped. Watase then answered in a low voice.
まず4番の全てを探すってのは現実的じゃないな。あれもこれもじゃ何も成果は出せない気がする。
うん。それに3番の汚染速度を抑えるためゲートの破損箇所を補修するというのもダメだな。前にも言ったがキューバしのぎの補修で汚染を食い止められるとも思えない。
では1番か2番、とにかく最優先で脱出口を探すか、
I'm number 2 for
要救助者や
personally.
AD を探しながら脱出
I
口
mean,
も探す。
we've already kind of
ですが
pretty fucking well established that there just is not there's not how do you say it's not realistic for us to find an escape route all of a sudden. We've virtually explored the entire place. We know that the lift is broken. We know all of the elevators are stopped. We know pretty much all of the stairs are broken. We know that all of the doors leading to the outside are completely shut off. We know that the vents are completely shut off. I mean, like, this is, I feel like just searching for an escape route isn't realistic. Obviously, you could say the same thing about the opposite, right? Like, well, you couldn't. It's kind of tough, I guess. You could really say that about any of these situations. Because I mean, like, we thought, oh, all the escape routes are closed, except the lift wasn't. It just happened to be broken, unfortunately. Oh, all the survivors are found. Oh no, but there isn't. We still have to find the students and now Yuri. Oh, we found all the AD, but no, there wasn't. There actually is, or at least there was a whole stash of them. So who's to say there isn't another secret stash that we missed? So I'm number 2.
そんなの決まってるじゃない。2番の要救助者や AD と脱出口を探すよ。脱出口はあるかどうか怪しいけど、天川くんたちは確実に地下にいるんだから。
That's my girl. That's what I'm saying. That's my
脱出口だ
girl.
け探すってのはリスクがでかすぎるよ。
俺もそう思う。それにユーリは AD を持っていないはずだ。すぐにでも見つけなきゃまずい。
However, assuming that espers, if we go into the broad assumption that espers are immune to to the like harm from radiation, we would have enough AD. Just saying. Everyone nodded gravely at that suggestion.
では消去法でユーリさんおよび要救助者と AD を探しつつ脱出口も探すで皆さんよろしいですか？
異議なし。
Now, if I remember correctly, if there was 9 of us, that would last us another... Or no, yeah, no. That would last us another 3 hours, which we need to last 5. So, we'll see. And with that, everyone was on the same page. Watase quickly moved on to the next agenda.
じゃあもう一度ラボを一周して隅々まで探すか。
今までと同じ回り方でそれとも逆回りの方がいいか
I would say go the other way around.
でもそれじゃ効率が悪いし、また行き違いになる可能性もあるわ。
だったら今度は二手に分かれ順回りと逆回りでそれぞれ捜索してみたらどうだ。
なるほど。もう火は消えているのは確認できているし、少人数でも問題なく回れそうだね。行き違いになる可能性も減るしさ。
そういえばプロキオンを第6エリアで見つけた。これを使えば3チームに分かれることができるが。
3チームですか。となると誰か単独行動を取ることになりますね。
I don't like that.
はぐれてしまう危険性が高いです。やはり2チームに分かれるべきでしょう。
What to say mulled over the situation once he heard Kazumi's reasoning? And how should we split up the teams? Oh no, it's too late now. Fuck, goddammit. Let me load this back real quick. Here we go. So I'm guessing this is just like, who are we gonna go with,
3
right?
チームですか。となると誰か単独行動を取ることになりますね。
Someone has to search by themselves. That also could even mean that we're like basically saying, hey, you go search by yourself. My stomach just growled very fucking loudly. If I had to send somebody off by themselves, I'd probably send Tachibana or Moribe. I wonder if that's how it works. Let's try it. Let's just test it out.
はぐれ
Wadase hesitated to make a choice after the incident just a few minutes ago. He's going to team up with. Okay, I see. I do kind of like how he's not even in this fucking consideration. I'm guessing it just kind of rolled it back automatically, but... Huh, then why can't I guess I have to like completely lower the other
3 チー
two?
ムですか。となると誰か単独
Okay,
行動を
so
取る
in
ことにな
that
ります
case,
ね。
I want to go with Anna. I like Anna. You couldn't tell. He quickly came to a conclusion. Here we go.
俺と組もうか。
え、いいわよ。
それなら僕もそちらの
No,
チームについていこ
え、
う。なんだね。
Yes, go! This is me and Anna. You are not a part of this fucking team. Ukita glared at the surprised Anna. Is the old man still sore about what happened a few minutes ago? Wadase spoke up before a similar crisis could repeat itself.
分かった。おっさんも俺たちと一緒に行こう。先生もいいかい？
ええ。
Oh. Listen, Anna, I'm with you. I do not want this motherfucker on our team.
それでチーム分けは俺たち3人と橘たちで分かれるとして、捜索ルートはどうする？
You know, I'm not that into Kazumi. I'm definitely Anna all the way, but I'm really tempted to go back and go with Jun. Because I do not want to be with I don't want to be with this guy. I fucking hate Ukita now. This motherfucker.
それについては私に考えがあります。
Kazumi took out her PDA and began explaining.
我々が現在いるのは第5エリアになりますから、第4エリア方面に進むチームと第6エリア方面に進むチームに分かれましょう。
じゃあ合流地点は？
我々もすれ違う可能性がありますから、ここでいいのではないですか。ぐるっと回ってなお要救助者に出会えなかったら再度出発すればいいと思います。不測の事態が起きたり1時間経っても何の成果も上げられなかった時も一旦ここに戻ることにしましょう。
だな。ならはぐれる心配もない。
AD はどうする？これ全部持ってく？
I'd say if we're going to be searching for an hour, bring 2 each. Just in case something happens and we get cut off, and we at least have another hour of AD. Jun was talking about the 30 AD they just found.
いや、なるべく置いていこう。何かあって破損でもしたら本当にやばいし。
Hide them, please.
それにひょっとしたら彼らがここに来るかもしれん。
では我々はひとまず2時間後1人当たり2本持っていきましょう。
You know what's about to happen? We're about to come back here and all the fucking 80 is about to be smashed to the fucking ground. And I can guarantee you that's what the fuck is gonna happen. Please hide the fucking AD. We just had a whole debate about a killer and terrorist running around the facility. Let's not leave the AD just out in the open. Kazumi said that, then gave the rest of the group 2 AD for each member.
じゃあついでにこんなのはどうかしら。
Anna took a pen and paper lying around in the room and started writing on it. Dear Mr. Tenkawa, Miss Toba, and Miss Sanomiya. Looks like we've all got caught up in the same disaster today, huh? I've been looking for you guys this whole time, but we haven't been having any luck. So if you happen to find this note, I ask that you please stay right where you are. What you see here is a radiation exposure inhibitor known as AD. It's a drug we've been using to protect ourselves from the radiation. It'll protect you for an hour so long as you inject it into a vein. Keep injecting yourselves with it and wait in this room for help to come, okay? I'm looking forward to seeing you all alive and well. From Miss Anna. She wrote that charming little letter in cute handwriting.
ね。これを扉の前に置いておけば、さらに行き違いになる可能性が減るでしょ。
なるほど、完璧だな。
よし、それじゃあ装備品を分けよう。
The group nodded and split up the gear they'd acquired so far. First, there were security cards. Watase held onto the level N card they'd found a short while ago. Kazumi, Jun, Anna, and Ukita each took a level 6 card. Watase's team also took 2 of the Prokyons, while Kazumi's took the 3rd.
じゃあ俺たちが第6エリア方面へ進むから、立花と森部は第4エリア方面へ進んでくれ。
了解しました。森部、行きますよ。
了解。
The two of them then departed in the direction of Area 4.
さて、俺たちも行くか。
There goes my stomach, Neil.
そうだな。こんなところでグズグズしてはいられない。
ええ。行きましょう。
Anna posted the note she'd written earlier on the door and replied in a grave voice. The atmosphere amongst the team really was strange. Maybe those two aren't getting along. Now that he thought about it, the two of them had argued quite frequently these past few hours. Watase left the room with Anna and Ukita as he kept those tiny fears in his heart. And we're gonna stop it right there. Oh, come on. Oh wait, no, that's the load. Oh, thank God. Save. Here we go. Alright, we're gonna stop it there. My stomach is demanding that I go eat food. So, a couple of interesting things of note. First off, obviously we had a lot of stuff going on in terms of our memory and everything that happened before we lost it. We did something to Yuri. Or at the very least, she thinks we did something to her. That has not only made her scared of us, but it's weird. It's weird. She's weird. Okay, keep in mind, even before we supposedly did something to her and lost our memories, we were finding it weird that Yuri was so against taking the AD, enough so to the point that she runs away from us. Right? That was what he said. He was like, oh yeah, while I was confused over why she would be so adamantly against it, she ran off. That's what he said. So there's that question. Why is she so against taking the AD? And how does that play into her role in the story? Again, right now I'm running with the theory that she is immune, that maybe even potentially all espers are immune, that maybe it's a result of some kind of experiment that they were doing in the facility or in the city, something like that. So there's that. As far as Watase goes, we've gotten some of his background back to us. We don't know exactly why his memories came back in that moment. There's still the mystery of how he lost the memories. We still need to figure out how his scuffle with the monster fit into this entire thing. And then again, obviously there's a whole overarching situation of finding the students, finding AD, and finding a way out. However, I do think that us finding the 30 ampules, everything seeming like, oh, this is so great, and then leaving them out in the open is probably gonna backfire pretty badly. If there's one thing I notice about this game, it brings up certain plot points and then completely ignores them until it suddenly comes back. That's not in a bad way. It just seems that it seems that it's trying to keep you kind of like, hey, the priorities in a situation like this change very rapidly, and oftentimes the previous priority gets very quickly forgotten. So it's not in a bad way, but it's going to be, I bring that up because I think it's going to be one of those things where, you know, we come back, the AD is either all gone or all destroyed, and then we remember, oh shit, somebody really is in here sabotaging us, right? Like there actually is a terrorist running about who's murdered people, who's destroyed our way out, and who has now destroyed the life-saving medicine that would have kept us alive this entire time. So, that's all going to be stuff that we're going to have revealed to us in the next episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like on the video and tell me in the comment section below what you would like to see me play next. If you enjoyed this video or any other videos of the series on my channel, then I highly recommend that you hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you'll be notified when one of those videos comes out. Anyways, that's it from me, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.